Welcome back to the Strength and Speed Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Preparist, and joining me is my co-host, Brenna Calvert.
Hey, everyone.
This episode is brought to you by Beat Performer.
Yeah, so guys, check out Beat Performer. It's an amazing drink to add to your training regimen diet. It's 100% beet juice, and let's just say it's very hearty, earthy taste to it, which is awesome, all natural. And they basically, beets will aid in your cardiovascular wellness. So that, again, it's going to help translate into your running and OCR and whatever sports you're doing. But try Beat Performer. They're great little small cans you can grab on the go and take with you before your workout.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm picking up some this weekend, so I can't wait to give it a try. Anyway.
I promise.
Yeah. Today's guest is Conquer the Gauntlet co-owner David Mainprize. Conquer the Gauntlet is a obstacle series that's occurring out in the Midwest. They currently have around 9 races this season. Conquer the Gauntlet's a family-run obstacle race series that's been around since 2012, which makes it one of the longest-running multi-state obstacle course race series in the country. It's run by David, his brother Steven, and Steven's wife Courtney. And obviously, me and Brenna are huge fans of the series. So, David, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
No bias here at all.
Dave, is this your first OCR podcast?
This is, I'm kind of doing this the same way that I did CTG. You know, you don't need to be around something to be involved in it. So, first podcast ever to listen to or be on. So, boom, first ever. You
haven't listened to any of the podcasts I've been interviewed on?
No, I haven't.
You're hurting my feelings, David.
Well, somebody's got to build the obstacles, bro.
Well played.
Anyway, he didn't even hesitate.
So, I guess let's start at the beginning. So, kind of take us through the beginning parts of Conquer the Gauntlet. Like, how did it start? You know, when was the first race, and kind of where did the idea come from?
Sure, I can definitely give you that information. Let's see here, 2010-ish. First of all, me, my brother, Steve, and Courtney were the 3 owners of the business. Been involved ever since the beginning, obviously, founders, creators. So it's not like we just purchased a company or, had people helping us. It was just us. So in 2010, we're living in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Some of us Steve was in college still or just graduated. I was actually in law school at the time, just about to graduate. And we heard of this thing called the Warrior Dash. It was supposedly coming to Tulsa. We could see a couple of ads for it, and we were like, oh, that's interesting. Didn't sign up for it, didn't run it, but we'd heard of it and then kind of started researching and thought it was a really cool concept and kind of just played into all the things that we were interested in through our whole lives, building things, being around a community of people, a lot of camaraderie, and also, the athletic element as well. And so we were like, man, we could do something like this. And so we sat down. And we went on a ski trip, and we were driving all the way to Colorado and back. This was kind of before smartphones and any of that stuff, so you have nothing to do on the road trip. So you're talking about whatever you want to talk about, and we were talking about our possible business we were going to start. Obviously, we didn't know where it was going to go from there, but we decided we wanted to have something like a mixture between really the only 2 series that really existed at the time outside of Spartan Race, which was really only on the coasts. Warrior Dash and Tough Mudder, because Tough Mudder, is a super long race, sort of Evans style stuff, and then Warrior Dash is short. And we were like, well, we want to have a short race that has a ton of obstacles. And so outside of that, we just started creating basically all of our own concepts and our own ideas of what we would bring into this event that we were going to create.
So when y'all were coming up with ideas, Conquer the Gauntlet, it's not your average name or just one word. Where'd that name come from, or was that your idea or Steve's? Or?
Yeah, it's Conquer the Gauntlet is definitely a mouthful, especially when you're typing it constantly. I actually hate typing it out all the time. No, and that's funny. Good question, because I'm on this podcast. Steve and Courtney aren't, so maybe one day you guys can interview them. But I'm going to give things from my perspective. They can give things from theirs at some point in the future. But So there may be some things up for debate. I don't really know who actually came up with the actual idea. I'm going to take credit on this podcast, but Steve may have something to say about that. But no, seriously, we thought of the idea. Everything that we kind of came up with as far as the initial first piece of everything was just kind of a conglomeration of ideas. The Gauntlet is actually, it's a metal glove that a knight wears. And then, the term throw down the gauntlet kind of flowed from that. And then if you've seen the movie First Knight, there's a gauntlet. And so the term gauntlet means it has several meanings. So we thought that was a great word. And at the time, like I said, Warrior Dash. So Warrior was a big thing. Spartan was a big thing. And then being a mudder was a big thing. And so we kind of were like, well, Conquer is like a great – and this is way before Conquer became like a super annoying buzzword. Then so we were like, Conquer the Gauntlet. It sounds gnarly. It sounds awesome. And it kind of, you want your race to be able to have people know what it is just by hearing the name. So we came up with the idea, the name, and then for some reason we just decided it was going to be 4 miles. If you know anything about us, we just like things to be bigger and better. So Warrior Dash was 3 miles or a 5K, and we're like, well, naturally 4 miles, something bigger, something longer. But not 5 miles, only 4. So 4 miles, 25 obstacles. Don't know why we stuck with those numbers. We just did. Thankfully, we didn't think of it being any longer or bigger. But so we had those as the concepts, and then we went to our friend Ben DeBell. One of the things you got to know about Conquer the Gauntlet, which most people do, is that we started the company with nothing, and we started with $500. We started by restoring actually an old 1979 Camaro. And by restoring, I mean getting it running and painting it flat black with some green on it. And we sold it for like $500 or so, and we took the money to our friend Ben DeBell, who's our web designer and also our old high school friend. And we were like, all right, here's the idea, and here's the name, and here's a little bit of money. And I mean a very little bit of money. Can you make us a website? And so then he came back with the crest and those different the ideas that are on the website, which really propelled us into looking like we were legitimate when at the time we certainly were not.
Wow. So
yeah.
the lion logo was. Did you tell him to make a lion logo, or he just pulled that out of his whatever?
I mean, the thing is, we kind of went to him. We were like, all right, here's the name, Conquer the Gauntlet. We want it to be a 4 mile, 25 obstacle race. Here's some of the thoughts we have as far as what we want the obstacles to be like and the race series feel to have. And then we gave him the colors, green and black, which were actually colors me and Steve have always loved. And, we've been involved with some clubs that were those colors as well. And then we told him, outside of that, we were like, we want it to be something that is, and medieval is not quite the word, but we want it to be, kind of like rugged and gnarly and I don't know what the exact word is for it, but we want it to be regal feeling almost. And then he came back with the crest with the lion, and then it kind of everything just flowed from that. Once we saw that, everything kind of made sense. And he did a phenomenal job of bringing the things that we said to him, which was his job and what he's really good at, bringing our ideas and making them into something tangible and visible, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does. The website looks great, obviously, and I love the logo. I love the name. I think it's great. Yeah,
it's really cool. And it's kind of funny, just a little side note, when he created the website, as soon as we saw it, we were like, wow, we look like a real company, and that's kind of funny for us to talk about. But as far as from a customer's perspective, any layman's perspective, they look at that and they go, oh, this is something that looks legitimate. And so from the very get-go, we looked like a legitimate thing that was operating already almost, and so people were drawn to it for lots of reasons.
And that initial year. Okay, go for it.
I was gonna say I clearly like the lion since I just got one tattooed to my wrist.
Yeah, there's several CTG tattoos out there, all revolving around the lion.
Yeah.
Well, and, the lion concept is really great because it brings so many different things up in your memory or in your psyche as far as king of the jungle or being lion-hearted or whatever it is that just the lion means to you.
Yeah, I'd never heard of Conquer. Well, I just got into obstacle racing actually in 2014, and I'd never heard of it when I was living in Kansas City, and I think I was in the MAOCR, Mid-America Obstacle Course Racers Facebook group, and people were like, CTG, and I was like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm Googling CTG, and nothing's coming up, and I was like, what? And eventually I found it, and I was like, okay, this looks interesting, and obstacles look challenging, so I'm going to give it a try. And I did my first one in Kansas City, and then a second one, I think, in Wichita.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I remember meeting you. I think the very first time I ever actually met you was I believe, in Wichita in 2015.
Yep. Yeah, I had a bad race, and, with the obstacles being challenging, I had a bad race at that first one, so I finished the course and called it a day. I was like, man, that's it for me. I'm gonna,
what got you, Evan? What got you?
Stairway to Heaven. It was like super muddy. It had rained.
Oh yeah, it was super wet.
And when I got there, I kept waiting for the course to kind of be a little less muddy, and it just never was. I was gonna hold back a little, and wait till I got to a flatter section of ground and really open it up. And it never did, and then so I was trailing a little bit by the time we got to the stairway, and then stairway was just covered in mud, and I don't know.
Yeah, that was one of our muddier races.
So.
Yeah, I've never had an issue with stairway. Couldn't tell you what that feels like. Complete sarcasm, everybody.
Yeah. That's one of the things I really love about your series is the obstacles are challenging, and they for me as an athlete, they push me to train harder and learn new skills. I never was interested in doing a pegboard until, I saw you guys debuted in Tulsa at the end of 2015, and I was like, I should probably learn how to do pegboard. And now you can see people posting videos online. One of the guys in my Strength and Speed group, Kevin Hill, just posted a video today of him completing a pegboard, I think for the first time, the full length of it. And was like,
That's awesome.
I'm coming for you, Pegatron. And I was like, right on.
Yeah, I've seen so many people create pegboards, just in the last year or two, just because of the old Pegatron. It's a beast.
So how does that make you feel, seeing people post videos specifically? Because I guess with OCR Championships, Stairway to Heaven was a debut featured obstacle there in Canada from Conquer the Gauntlet. I know you went up there. I was helping you. Went up there and built it. So as an owner of a race series that this is going on, seeing videos of Stairway be posted from people trying to conquer it, and then now Pegatron, how does that feel when you see all that? Just thinking wow, this is what it is now.
Yeah, it's funny because some days it just kind of goes right past you because you see it so many things like that so often. But at the end of the day, some days it's really cool and humbling and interesting just to see so many people posting, different things about CTG, but especially, going out and building the obstacles we have. It's funny because, when we first started this, there's no way we could have ever thought that was going to be something that happened, but it's happening all over, and it's really funny and interesting to see the people doing that. And it's also cool because the people that are doing it, you actually do see them improving, and then they get to the race and they have that moment where, instead of just getting to be able to try it, for a couple of seconds on a course, they've been in their garage or their backyard or wherever it is doing it, and then they get to actually conquer it and complete it on the course, and that's a really cool moment to get to see them do that.
That's awesome.
I think ultimate rewarding right there for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a lot of things that are like that make it everything that we do worth it. And Evan, this kind of maybe we'll actually. I don't know what you were going to ask me next, but it's kind of funny when you said, that the obstacles were difficult for you and even for you, and then also talking about how you went and built a pegboard and you never really thought about doing one. A lot of the things that we have in our race series and that we've had since the beginning, we never really thought of them as being, particularly harder than any other thing. It's just what we came up with. And I can talk about that more if you want me to, but it's funny the way that all worked out.
Yeah, that was going to be one of the follow-up questions. How do you determine the appropriate difficulty level of some of your obstacles?
Yeah, that's funny because in 2012, so in 2010, in the winter of 2010, is when we first heard about the Warrior Dash, and it came through Tulsa. That next spring, we didn't do it, and then that winter, at the end of 2011, is when we first started Conquer the Gauntlet, as far as working on all the back end stuff with the website and legal work and getting all the things prepped out to run the business side. And then we sat down and we designed out kind of what the course was going to be like. And Steve is really the main architect of most of our signature obstacles. We sat down and we said it was going to be 4 miles, 25 obstacles, but then from there, you actually have to know what they're going to be, obviously. So we sat down and we created these different obstacles. We're going to have this, the 5 walls. We're going to have, and the monkey bars. There's certain things that are just you're going to have in an obstacle course race. A crawl, a carry, things like that. And then there's the things that we've kind of came up with that are very much signature Conquer the Gauntlet, things like Stairway to Heaven, Pegatron, and I could go on further. But when we sat down and we first started creating what the obstacles were going to be, and I think it was to a great advantage of ours, is that we really didn't have any kind of concept of what the other races were doing, and there really weren't that many races at the time. So we just kind of sat down and said, this would be cool, not really thinking about whether it would be, first of all, something that someone else had ever done, and second of all, whether that would even be hard we tried to make it doable, but we didn't really sit there and think, is an elite athlete going to have trouble doing this 3 miles into the race when they're muddy or anything like that? It wasn't quite that detailed. And so, we're working our full-time jobs, and then at night we're going to our warehouse, and we're coming up with these obstacles, and then we're working till 3 or 4 in the morning getting them actually constructed. And so then we go out and we have our first couple races, Tulsa, Little Rock, and the next year, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Little Rock, starting to move out and expand into Wichita, Kansas City. And if you know anything about obstacle course racing, these are not exactly areas where there's a ton of Spartan races and Tough Mudders. There's not other races in this area hardly at all. And so people at the time loved the race. They jumped over the 5 walls. They helped each other over them. And most of them probably had never – actually, I would say 95% of the people who ran our race in the first 3 years had never done another obstacle course race in their life. And if they had, it was probably a Warrior Dash, because that was the only race coming within 500 miles of us. And so these people didn't have a concept of what was difficult per se in the world of OCR or what was standard. And so once we start expanding out and we getting more people coming to the race that are quote unquote OCR people and into OCR, that's when people started talking about, oh, this is really hard, or this is, even complaining a little bit, but just saying like, man, this is crazy. And so it wasn't like we set out to make the hardest race ever. We just set out to make an awesome race. And I think that's a great advantage of ours, is that it's still what we do. We just make things that we think are awesome and that we think other people are going to have a great time on. Everyone from the Evans and the Brennas of the world all the way down to, the standard open wave guy who got off his couch for the first time the week before the race. And most people, as you know, don't come out to try to do every single obstacle alone as fast as they can.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that play into that, but I think as far as the answer to the question, we didn't really think about it being too hard for an Evan Preparis to do at full, max heart rate or whatever. We were just trying to make a race that was a great experience for people.
Well, you guys absolutely crushed it. After doing a lot of Conquer the Gauntlet, sometimes I'll go to other series and be upset, be like, why is this so easy? Is it like only one 8-foot wall? Are you kidding me? Like, can we get a couple more 8-foot walls in here? And it's just funny. It basically readjusted my baseline of, kind of what I think of other series and what I think of OCR in general.
And that's obviously not to say from what I said, it's not to say that any of the other series are easy or not as good. Every series is different and awesome in its own way. And for us, when we sat down, we decided, obstacle course racing in our minds, or running an obstacle, there's no such thing as obstacle course racing hardly at all at the time. Running an obstacle course race for us was, being able to run through this course and do all these different things that we came up with, whether it was crawling, jumping, or whatever, and being able to be, in my mind, a very much almost CrossFit isn't the word, but you want to be a very diverse athlete. So it's not just good enough to be able to do monkey bars or be really good at balance, but nothing, or running only and nothing else. You have to be able to do a numerous amount of things. And I think at the end of the day, that's why I'm involved in the sport and why I'm involved in the race series, is because I think it's a great metaphor for life, is that you can't just be good at one thing or expect only one thing or expect something to be fair all the time. Our course is going to throw at you things from all different angles, just like life is. And so you've got to be prepared for all those different things that we might throw at you.
I like that comparison. And then I was going to laugh because I remember how Evan is. I look at Evan at being well-rounded in everything, obstacles, speed, and then, of course, his distance. And I still giggle when I see his stomach after the slack line of Conquer the Gauntlet.
I'm working on my slack line.
He's working on it.
I just need to work on it more, actually. But why change it?
Wait, your stomach on a slack line? What?
it just leaves like open wounds on my stomach for a couple days. It's really not a big deal. I don't.
And as soon as you get the slack down, we'll take it out and we'll change it to something else.
I know. That's okay.
That's all right.
Talking about changing things, what's anything like you'll change from? I mean, you started out 4 miles, 25 obstacles. Have you changed from that, or do you plan to change and add different your obstacles a little bit, grow with the obstacles? Are you going to have any different distances, or are y'all staying with what you originally started with?
For 2017, obviously we're going to stick with the 4 miles and 25 obstacles. I do think we're going to try to sneak in a couple of more obstacles at some of these courses because we just got a great opportunity to do that. So you may be needing to prepare for 27 or 28, which we've done many times. It also depends on how you count them, because the 5 balls in a row, if we were some of these other series, we could say we have 40 obstacles. But 4 miles, 25 obstacles is the plan for the year, and there will definitely be some new obstacles that debuted by Dallas, if not before, just depending on time to set them up and registration numbers and whatnot. But yeah, there's going to be some new things coming your way. I can't give you all the details now, but very soon.
Cool. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I just want to emphasize how big is, like, who builds these courses? How many people are out there building a CTG course?
In the past, we've had a lot of very interesting experiences involving that. Back when we first started, it was just me. It was literally just me and Steve and Courtney. And then, we would occasionally hire crew people to help us unload the semis. But, we have had a lot of experiences with that, where people don't show up, or where crews that you pay don't show up, or weather keeps, things from happening. But, yeah, it's just us. We're setting it up. Last year we were and we also, one year, 2015, we were able to hire my other brother, Phil. He worked with us for a year until he moved, and they had a baby. So he's kind of locked in with that situation right now. And then last year we had Nathan Palmer. You guys know Napalm. He was full-time build with us, so we had the 4 of us out there doing it. And that was when we met Brenna Calvert. Actually, first met her in Dallas, and she can tell you the story better than me. But she basically said, "Hey guys, you're going to see a lot of me. Where are we going next? What day do I need to be there?" And we were like, we're going to Oklahoma City next. We'll be there in 3 days. And there she was. And she's been there ever since, and now she's going to be full-time build crew. We're slowly growing, and that's, a big part of CTG is, our longevity is involved a lot around, slow growth, patience, and hard work. And so this year we're going to be me and Steve, and Courtney actually, she does a lot more of the logistics and back end and registration work now and all those things that involve that. So building the courses will be me and Steve, Nathan Palmer, Brenna Calvert, and Tracy Jost. So if you know them, give them a shout out and tell them to make the courses easier if you want them easier, or harder if you want them harder. But yeah, it's just been us doing it for 4 or 5 years now.
Gotcha. So that kind of leads me, I kind of set you up it leads me to my next question. A lot of times on Facebook, because I represent CTG a lot, people are always like, oh, get them to come to, Carolina or Ohio. And I don't think a lot of people understand that there's literally like a car full of people that is building all this and is running the backside support.
Right. And yeah, that's very true. And that's certainly a full half, if not more, of the equation. The other thing is that I'm not going to get too far into this, but it's easy to get into the OCR online or Facebook bubble, of people, and it's a great community, fantastic community, and I know pretty much everyone in it and have nothing but respect and love for everyone. But, when you get someone saying, hey, please come to this city, I love that, and that's awesome. I respect that a lot. We'd love to be in that city, but there's a lot of reasons why we can't. It's a lot more complicated than just, we don't want to, or we can't afford it, or there aren't enough people. There's so much that goes into even having one event. I mean, the costs alone when you put something on the schedule, your costs right there alone are astronomical based on everything that you need to do. And so when someone says come to this city, it's easy to see, 30 or 40 people, jump on board with that on Facebook and be like, oh man, maybe we should go to that city. Maybe there's some interest there, and there certainly could be, or even is, but there's so much that goes into putting something on the schedule when it comes down to, picking a date and the tens of thousands of dollars that go into marketing the event. And so, yeah, you may be able to get even 500 people on Facebook to say that they're going to go to something, but are they really going to click the button and send you their money? And you know, that's a lot to risk just based on, you know, and that's happened to us before. You know, people want us to come somewhere and we'd love to, and we have tried, and the people that said they were going to come, they didn't, and that's not against them. That's how life is. And so there's a lot that goes into trying to build a race series and expand it out across the nation. You know, I could go on and on forever about that, but I think you kind of get the idea.
Well, and that's what I will say. I don't think people realize, because this new season, 2017, I personally pushed very hard, and I'm very excited to say that, I mean, there's 3 new locations this year alone, being Atlanta, Central Texas, and Houston, which some people, when they're seeing on Facebook, are like, oh, well, come here. You know, so-and-so was here. Y'all need to come here. And thinking, well, we're adding 3 new cities to an already small, slowly expanding race series. So the fact that they've been around for 6 years and only had 9 races, and this year jumping up, you know, 3 more than they were, people don't realize how big that is right there. So it's just, you know, we always want to tell people, well, we would love to come to the Carolinas and Ohio and New Jersey, and every message you send, we would love to be in all those places. But, hey, come to Atlanta, the brand new location we have that, you know, like I will personally say, Brenna, I am really excited about Atlanta as a new location. So everybody come check that one out. And if it goes really well, then, hey, you know, maybe next year we can try South Carolina or something and see how that goes.
Certainly. And the other thing is, you know, kind of getting back to what I was saying about, you know, the little OCR community, it's so tight-knit, and but it's a very small community, especially compared to the people who are doing mud runs and obstacle course races. I mean, just as an example, I would just challenge anyone listening, go to the timing results for any race that you ever went to, any obstacle course race of any kind that you've been to. Just look at the timing sheet. And especially if you're someone who's very connected in the sport, maybe you have thousands of Facebook friends and you know however many names, go to the timing sheet, start reading them off. Let me know when you stop knowing who they are, because it's going to be about 8 to 10 people down. You know what I'm saying? There's the thousands of people that are coming to these races. Even I, having had, you know, how many tens of thousands of people do my race or our race or whatever you want to call it, I don't know who these people are. They're coming from all walks of life. And so it's not just getting 1,000 people in a certain OCR group to say they're going to come to a race. It's a more matter of getting the full marketing perspective of all the people that are coming to these events. And you have to be able to be ready to put your nose to the grindstone and market to those people, not just the little bubble of people that are going to be spread out around the nation doing races that day, if that makes sense. The other thing is, you know, you always get this, you always hear people say, if you build it, they will come. And I just want to say, like, publicly, that is not true. Like, that's just not right. It's incorrect. It's an incorrect statement. I mean, it's a partially correct statement. It's more like, if you build it and are in the right market on the right day with a mountain of capital to market it, then they will come. You know, it's silly to say, if you build it, they will come. Well, okay, wow, Atlas, Battle Frog, superheroes, you know, all these different things. Like, it's not true. If you build an obstacle course race, people aren't just going to naturally come to it. That's not a true statement. So.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, we've seen what happens when companies expand too fast and try to go big too fast. You know, it's like a, you know, supernova, burns out real bright, real quick, and then that's it. And then everyone's like, all right, well, I wish they'd come back, but it's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And to Brenna's point, if you are someone who loves obstacle course races and you're interested in CTG, or maybe you've even done one or you wanted to do one, and you do live somewhere near a race of ours, you know, within 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours, but it's not in your city yet. And let's say that you've taken the time and the expense to travel to a Spartan or, you know, any of the other series that have ever existed. Well, now's the time to, if you want our series to continue to exist and the other ones that are out there, take the chance and spend the money and travel to ours, you know what I'm saying, just like you did the others. And so that's a challenge I would put out there, is that if you want it to be in where you're at, get yourself to where we are now, and we'll keep growing. And if not, we can't keep growing. You know, a lot of people, you know, and I get in these conversations all the time where people are like, can you please have a race here? Can you please do this? And I'm like, all right, let's think about it in like a much simpler situation. Let's just say that I've asked you to throw a party for me, and I want you to spend $1,000 to make this party really cool. But then I only gave you $100 to do that. And then now I'm coming to you the next day and be like, hey, you lost $900. Let's do it again next week farther away. You know, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't happen that way and continue to be sustainable. So if you are somewhere where you want to race, make a Facebook group about it. Start spreading the word, but then also get those people to travel with you to where we are at right now.
I think that's very good advice, and one of the reasons you guys have been around since 2012. So
yeah,
can't argue with that.
And it used to be. I would never even ask people to do that because we were in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Little Rock, Arkansas. And as great as those places are, they're not easy places to fly into, and they're probably not close to where a lot of the people that are wanting our race to be there are. Well, now we are in Houston, and we're in Atlanta. These are airport hubs. You should be able to get into the race and do it somewhat economically.
Yeah, like everything flies in and out of Dallas and Atlanta. That's like those
Right.
are major hubs for the U.S.
Exactly, yeah. And we got Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, and Kansas City, so yeah.
Cool. Well, obviously Conquer the Gauntlet's doing pretty well. Let's talk about your new adventure, Conquer Fitness.
Yes. Another one of those things that people, have been asking for a long time. So ever since we had our first race, which was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, people have been asking for us to build a place to start training for these. And so, that's been an idea we've had since the beginning, and just, like we've been talking about, we are expanding slowly. We aren't rich, we don't have a lot of money, and so we're doing things that are within our power and our abilities. And so, we're just now starting to open up this Conquer Fitness. It's going to be a gym in Tulsa. Should be opening here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's got everything from obstacles to Ninja Warrior obstacles, as well as, a regular working out area. We have indoor and outdoor space. Very much CrossFit type style things, as well as some resistance machines and a cardio bank as well, with your treadmills, ellipticals, rowers. And so that's the concept we're going with in Tulsa. And we also I need to give Dane a call. We're working on getting it finished up in Kansas City as well to have one there. And you never know where it might end up next. I've got a lot of people interested in helping us expand it. So it should be open in Tulsa soon, so come check us out. And I do believe we're going to be having some really cool indoor/outdoor little mini OCR competitions there at Conquer Fitness here in this year. So look for those.
Well, I can vouch. I was just there last weekend and can say how awesome it is, and ever growing. And there's Pegatron and Great Wall of America things and Stairway. And then, Evan, you actually get to be there this weekend to play, right?
Yeah, by the time this podcast gets released, I'll have already been there. So if you're listening to this, head over to Mud Run Guide. There'll be some live video that we took while there, and head over to the Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team Facebook page. Also be some live video from that. Joining me should be Bryce Robinson, Nikki Call, and Randy Lackey. So all Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team people. So it should be pretty fun. And you'll get to see a good tour of the facility and some of the team doing some of the obstacles. It should be pretty cool.
Okay, so now I feel like we've talked serious and Conquer the Gauntlet as a series and how awesome it is, and Conquer Fitness and how awesome it is. Now I have a really serious question to ask. Dave, how does it feel to be the 2016 world champion for the Journeyman division in OCRWC in Canada?
Boom.
You guys, I don't think that's a real thing.
Boom. He won. I saw it. I saw the results. For those of you who don't know, Journeyman, if you race essentially 5 OCR qualifiers, you get qualified for the Journeyman division. So Dave doesn't race very often, so he
ever.
He did his qualifiers and showed up and came in first in Journeyman, and it was the sprint course.
Sprint course, yeah. I'm not sure I really meant to do that. I was just running along with everyone else. But yeah, fantastic experience. If you have the chance, you should obviously get to the World Championships and the U.S. World Championships in Texas. There are going to be some Conquer the Gauntlet obstacles there, and probably hundreds of CTG shirts and people walking around. And I'm going to do the sprint course again, so bring it on, people.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You've been training now, so everybody, I'm his, I don't know what you want to call it, marketing promoter that David Mainprize is, training to be an elite athlete and take on some of the best.
Yeah, if anyone out there is looking to sponsor someone.
You're like all fast twitch muscle fiber. Like, I saw you go through the sprint course, where were we, in Little Rock? And I was baffled at how quick you were moving.
Yeah, that's my background, is really just being a sprinter. a soccer player, and explosive. I'm terrible at. I mean, like a 5K seems like a marathon to me. So yeah, I love fast things. I don't love long distance at all.
Yeah, as an ultra endurance athlete, that's seeing someone move with such rapid movements like almost baffles me. It's like I don't even know if my body does that.
Yeah, my natural genetic skill is just quickness and short speed versus really nothing to do with long distance. I'm also not built, I'm like 5'6" on a good day, 140 pounds, so running 20 miles is not easy for me.
Nice.
Yeah, for real though, I mean, I'm gonna try to do really well at the sprint course because I also did the team challenge, which was really fun. Yeah, I mean, if anyone's out there is looking for a way to do some of the course but not do the whole thing, get a team together. It was really fun. And because I only had to run the speed section, and so that was great. That was a great experience. It was pouring rain that day as well.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. The team relay was probably the most fun I had all weekend. Just standing in the pouring rain and watching people just eat it down the hill with the rec bag.
That was fantastic.
Hysterical.
I did not eat it with the rec bag. Thank you very much.
On the speed portion, my teammate Jordan Smith came like stumbling down the hill, and like I think someone crashed into him, and it was like a 3-man wipeout, and all the people waiting for the relay were cheering. So much fun.
Man, yeah. During that, it was literally dumping rain, and we were going down basically some serious black diamonds. At the top of the hill when we were running, it was out of the spectator's view, but there were points where I was like down in like a tripod, almost like sitting on the ground with one leg straight and the other one slightly bent, and literally I was just sliding for, 100, 200 yards at a time, passing people, running into people, bouncing off people. It was a great time. But it was definitely an experience.
All right.
What else we got, Brenna?
That's all I have. I mean, I could go on for days and days about Conquer the Gauntlet and ask so many questions and get Dave talking forever, but we don't need that. We got all the good stuff.
No, this has been great. Again, I didn't know a lot of that background. I mean, I know like general wave top stuff, but like some of the details I thought was very interesting. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's funny, or it's kind of cool because, I've just recently done a couple of interviews that are similar to this, and it's kind of interesting how you learn about yourself or what you've kind of gone through or the things you've done by talking about them out loud more so than just having them internally. And it's one of the things that I love is being a former athlete and just someone who's very driven and motivated and loves to get out there and do things. Being the owner, one of the owners of Conquer the Gauntlet, is a fantastic challenge. Every single day, every single minute, there's something going on, there's something happening, and you have so many, different responsibilities and hats you wear. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's brutal and it's awesome. It's just almost like running your own obstacle course all year long. But it's great because you get involved with these fantastic people in this fantastic community. And it's funny because at the beginning, for probably the first 3 years of Conquer the Gauntlet, we weren't even a blip on the radar of what OCR was becoming and was at the time. And even still, we're just starting to get where we're being kind of accepted by the people who have been around or have not that they weren't accepting us before, but just they weren't knowledgeable about it at all. And so this year in the 2016, end of 2015, 2016 with the pro team and Brenna and everyone coming on board, we've really grown, not so much in venues or runners, but just in the way of people perceiving us and starting to be like, oh, that's a legitimate race series and I want to get to that race. And this year especially we've got, a lot of big names signed up for the elite waves. A lot of the big groups are coming out to the race. And so I would just encourage everyone listening, get yourself to a CTG this year. Now's the time to do it. We're growing, and it's going to be a great, fantastic year.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just to say hi to my wife, Lori. Love you.
Oh, that was cute.
I have a challenge for you guys.
Shoot. Oh boy.
Get Steve on the podcast.
All right.
We'll work on that. We can work on that. That'll be my.
Maybe Steve and Napalm together.
Yep, we'll get Napalm on here eventually.
All right, well, I accept that challenge. And with that being said, I don't really have any. My major shout out I was going to say is kind of bringing up based off when this will air. Myself, Dave, and I are participating in the Green Beret Challenge at YO Ranch. So I kind of wanted to just mention YO Ranch to everybody is going to be the venue for first ever U.S. Championships, but it's also along with our Central Texas venue. So come check out YO Ranch in Central Texas for Conquer the Gauntlet, along with it'll give you a great course preview for the U.S. Championships. But we will be there this weekend. This will air afterwards, but so we're going to check out the ranch, and hopefully y'all will get a view of it before U.S. Championships.
I'm going to try to beat Brenna at that course.
Can't wait to hear about it. I'm just going to tell people to check out Mud Run Guide. I put up 2 articles in the last 2 weeks. One of them is a review for Synergy Sports rig grips and some of their hockey pucks and climber apparatus that you can buy to enhance your own gym. And the other one is an article about compression gear, specifically Marina Sport, and then partnering with Conquer the Gauntlet and Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team. So if you're curious about compression and how it works and why you can't just use spandex to get the same results, go check out that article and go pick yourself up some Marina Sport. And we also have a coupon code on the CTG Pro Team Facebook page if you're going to buy some. So make sure you hit that up and save yourself some money. I think that's all we got. Dave, again, thanks for coming on the show. And
of course.
We'll see everyone in a week or 2.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Can't wait. See y'all next time.